Welcome to Sovereign Mamas, the podcast sanctuary for visionary women who are building lives, businesses, and legacies in alignment with their feminine power. I'm your host, Julia Jerg, intuitive business coach, mama of two, and systems strategist for solo-led entrepreneurs. Here, we honor both your sacred role as a mama and your wild vision as a changemaker. Expect soul-aligned strategy, raw storytelling, behind the scenes, and powerful conversations that support you in scaling your business without sacrifice. If you're done choosing between success and sovereignty, you're home. Let's begin. Okay, welcome to another episode on the Sovereign Mamas podcast. Today we are going all into that topic of money, but how this money is affecting you as a person, as a mother, and in a way that it actually relates to us as visionary mompreneurs. So I'm really excited to ask you all the question. Natosha, welcome to this show. I'm happy to have you here and really looking forward to what we're unpacking today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to talk to you and learn more about what you do, but also and your audience, but also to share the insights that I've kind of learned over the past few years through this whole mompreneur journey.
Yeah, sure. So you have this really impressive brand, and people who are watching us and are not listening only, they see it in the background, $1 million
Yes.
mom society. I love it. That's a statement. That's a clear, let's go for it. Well, before we dive into that, I would love to just zoom out and um who was the woman you were becoming behind the scenes, like before you shifted into what you're doing today? Maybe talk a little bit about what identities were shedding or shifting or colliding in that chapter.
I think that it's kind of important to start a little pre-motherhood.
Yeah.
When I was 8 years old, I'm not going to go this far back, but when I was 8 years old, there was a story I distinctly remember. I was talking with my best friend, and she said, I want to be a mom and have two kids. And, that was her vision. And as we're playing with things, and I said, I want to be a CEO and carry a briefcase and play tennis and travel the world. Why? I think probably Dynasty was like back in the day, it was my thing I watched in the US. And so it was funny because at a young age, I actually never thought I was going to be a mom from the time I was little. And then I carried that story with me for honestly until I was in my 40s, where I was like, I'm not having children. My goal is to be a business owner and to travel the world and to, do fulfill my mission. And then I met my husband in my mid 30s, and he had, oddly enough, been dreaming about being a dad since he was like 8 years old. Like it was his
That's
whole entire, I know.
not true.
What
Wow.
are what are the chances that two, so opposite? And of course I was madly in love with him, and he said, the only way I could be with you is if you're willing to get married. I didn't want to get married. I didn't want to have like these just weren't things that were on my vision board.
Mhm.
And so he kind of uh convinced me so that this was going to be the right path for us. And thank goodness he did, because oh my, I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old little boys, and they are the light of my life. I mean, they're incredible. And they have more, you think sometimes in a mindset like that, talking about the identity shifts, you almost think like, well, I'm going to lose myself. I'm gonna have to, quote unquote, have to give up all of my dreams because now it's all about my children. It's all about that. But what I realized is that they actually fueled me even more. Now I had a bigger reason than just myself to want to do this. I've always been called to serve women, to have always had these big dreams, this big mission. But when it's just self-serving, when it's more about you and what you need, it's so different than when it's about your children and you're like, I will leave a legacy for these boys. I will show them, that you can do anything that you dream about. And so that was my big identity shift, was going from not really knowing if I was going to be a mom to, oh no, is this going to change everything? And then realizing, yes, it changed everything in the best of ways.
Ah, that's so funny, and I love it. And each time people come on my podcast, I feel like they're telling my story.
Really?
I was
That's
like,
awesome.
I was also like feeling for the longest. And I had also when I was a child and especially like teenage years and then in I'd say throughout my whole 20s, I would be so like I see children, I was annoyed. I was the friend who was always like, oh my gosh, don't give her children. Funny enough, though, I chose to, like, after high school, I chose to go be a nanny in the United States. Like, I was in a plane, I was off when I was 18. I just wanted to see the world, and this was my, way of doing it. And oh, this was a an absolute stretch for me because I suddenly had to deal with children, and I was like,
Yeah,
how am I doing this? And then that kicked off a series of this is what happens when you have children. I'm gonna wait, maybe never have them.
right.
And it's this was my narrative until my 30s, right? When I then met the father of my children. And like you say, you suddenly get an my first son, he wasn't necessarily planned. We were like saying, all right, well, in our 30s, like if it happens, we're adults enough, right? But it was not also like we were still unsure. It kind of was like,
You're like, are we adults?
if
Yeah,
it
are we
happens,
ready?
yes, exactly. And we were traveling, I don't know, I think we were in the Philippines at the time when I then noticed, oh, I'm pregnant. And then
Yeah.
then this realization, holy, I'm
Mhm.
in the middle of like changing everything. And yes, so I love that you explained it in the way you did. And so tell me, because when I saw you on Facebook, well, just for everyone who's listening, we haven't really connected much. And I only a few weeks ago saw you popping up in my newsfeed with a post that absolutely, like, I was like, oh, I have to have her on the show because you broke it down what it actually takes to being a mom, to being a mompreneur, being successful. And, because people on social media, they think the ones who are killing it, they either have a lot of money because they pay a team, um, they're spoon-fed with their brand and offer whatever they're doing. And you broke it down so nicely, saying, can't remember word for word, but you said, yes, I get up at a certain hour, I work out, I fill my cup first, and I'm on 100 million other people's shows, and I'm doing this and this and this, and this is why I'm here and who I am, right? So that resonated deeply with me. So let's go in that direction, and maybe you share more a little bit of how you are actually navigating everything and the mindset you're bringing to the table.
Absolutely. Well, my first son was actually, we tried for 5 years and it was IVF. And so when he was finally born, I actually decided I was going to take an entire year off of working. I was not going to do anything. And I had worked since I was 16 years old. And I was 41 when he was born and or 42 when he was born. And I really struggled during that year, not only because I had postpartum, which I didn't understand and know, but I also struggled because I just like I felt so called. Like I was like, oh my gosh, this is my mission. I'm supposed to be doing something. I'm going to be working, right? Well, then 10 months, when he was 10 months old, I got pregnant naturally for the first time at 43. I had just turned 43 and I was like, of course, after we spent $40,000 on IVF, I get pregnant naturally. So, but it was unexpected. I had kind of in my mind just assumed he would be an only child because we weren't going to pay for IVF again. So I almost mentally was started struggling again because I was like, how in the world am I going to balance two children? Like in my mind, that felt like a million children. I was like, how am I going to balance two children and grow a business? So, but what I also knew was that I was not ever going to go back to a job.
Mm,
I'm like, there's no way now I'm going to leave these two little boys in a daycare or something if I don't have to. Like, I know that some people that is the only option they have, but I was in a position where my husband could support us, but I also wanted to be working. So I was like, all right, I'm going to teach myself how to do online marketing. I had never done anything online. I do not like social media. It is the bane of my existence. I'm a very private, introverted person. And so I started out the way a lot of people start out online. It was like faceless marketing and, you know, just little things where I didn't have to really be there, but I was there. And then, so I did that for 6 months. And then I kind of got sucked into the whole MLM realm of things and affiliate marketing and high ticket marketing, like all the things that you get thrown at you when you first come on online. I spent about a year and a half in that space. Then I realized what I have always been good at my entire life with all of my other previous industries was coaching women, either health and wellness or real estate or life or whatever. But I've always been very good at coaching. So I got into some other industries like UGC. I don't know if you know much about that, but it's like where you're doing marketing for other people's businesses. I got really, really good at that. And I started a coaching business, teaching women how to do that. And right about that time, I ran my business partner and I now, we were watching each other, you know, like she was doing her thing, I was doing my thing. And we came together and decided we were going to collaborate on a few things. And then we decided why not just come together and build Million Dollar Mom Society. But to your question, what almost stopped that from happening was I was like, how do I build a business? At this time, I had my son was only, 18 months old. My other son was just barely turned 3. I was like, I have an 18-month old, a 3-month old. They barely sleep. They're horrible sleepers. I'm not sleeping at night. My husband makes enough to support us, but he's not going to fund my business. So I'm going to have to really show up in all the ways. And I had to make a decision. Am I going to do what needs to be done, make no excuses and sacrifice where I need to, but also still show up for myself, like not completely lose myself in all of this where I'm burned out and burning from both ends. So I just kind of made this decision where I was going to plan my days and my weeks. And Anissa, she'll tell you the story. Like she hit me up in the DMs March 29th of 2024 and said, "Hey, I've been watching you. I would love to meet with you sometime." I said, "Sure, no problem. But I'm with my kids Wednesdays and Fridays. I do not take any phone calls those days." I said, "And I log off most days by like 2 p.m. and I'm with my kids." And she was like, "Okay." So we had to schedule around my children. And then I was like, I do get up early in the morning and I work out and I meditate and I take care of myself. So I do not take calls during this. It was all these like, I don't. But I became really firm with my boundaries.
Mm.
So what it has forced me to do is in the pockets that I do have, like this hour that I've been with my kids all day today. I just flew back from an event that I was gone for 4 days. Flew back, got back at 9 o'clock last night, woke up early this morning and have spent the last 6 hours, 7 hours with my babies, just going to the park with them and doing all these things. And then I logged on 10 minutes ago to do this podcast and I'll log back off and go have a popsicle downstairs with my son. So it's not necessarily about showing up and doing a million things. It's about being really intentional with the time that you do have and finding ways to create visibility for yourself in those pockets that you have instead of sitting down and having no idea what you're going to do with this 2 hours that you have, or feeling like you have to work 12 hours a day in order to have a successful business. If you're strategic and you know exactly what you need to do, you can build $1 million brand literally in the pockets of your day with your children.
Yes, 100%. I feel that the many mompreneurs who are actually like all in,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm hesitating now because I know also, I work with women who are coming to me and say, I want to create an online business. How do I do it? And then I can feel that maybe the driver, their why isn't really what keeps them going. So if someone
Mm-hmm.
comes and says, I just need to replace my whatever income, that's already like a red flag for me. But when someone comes and says, I have this passion, I have this gift, I want to get it out, but I don't know how to do it. Can you help me set it up? That's my people. And they talk like you, right? They know I have like an hour here and a few minutes there. How do I make it happen? And it is possible when you come to the table and really intentionally use your time. You can be so productive. Like I'm a single mama and I've been with my boys. They're 6 and 8, and I've been with them on my own since 4 years now. And we live in Bali now, but we just relocated from Thailand. Before that, we were also like expats living in a in a different country. So I don't have the grandma that I can drop off the kids. I don't have the brother or sister that takes, and for me, I don't give away my children to strangers. So I've never used, okay, I'm lying. Okay, I two times I had a babysitter. And now that they're 6 and 8, I'm leaning more into that. But I mean, I'm not saying this because I want to like, oh my gosh, look how cool I am. But it's possible. That's my mission, my message here. It's possible. Anything that you are burning for, and I feel you just said that, right? You had this. Oh, I'm here. Like I have this
Right.
big vision and mission on my heart. And yeah, and I do really love that. And it comes down to who you become and who you are and how you're showing up. And then the right people, just like, we're talking now because of the way you showed up in this one post. And then probably you
Yeah.
did nothing more on that day. Other than
No, it's funny you say that though, because that's like for me, it's actually been, I think a lot of women too, especially when you're moms, like you tend to shy away from the spotlight a little bit. And social media really forces the spotlight right on you. And like I'm weird, I don't like putting my kids on social media. And I like my Anissa, my partner, she and her family are on social media all day. That's how she lives her life. She loves it. But for me, I'm very private.
Mhm.
And I was told from the beginning, if you don't do this, if you have to, show your kids, you have to show lifestyle posts, you have to give them the dream. And I was like, I don't want to show up like that. What I
Mhm.
want to do is come and talk about what's really on my mind. Sometimes it's really silly, funny stuff, but other times it's like more serious things where I'm like, listen, these are the things that are causing challenges for female entrepreneurs, but more importantly, mompreneurs, like women who have this thing and they have all this mom guilt and this shame and this heaviness that they're carrying, and they feel like they have to take care of everybody else before themselves. And so many people before them have worn that as a badge of honor, like, oh, look at all this stuff I sacrificed for everybody. And I'm like, that only hurt you and hurt them. Imagine being able to have shown up in a way that served you, and then you could serve them even like more in a more full way, right? So those are the kind of things I like to talk about. So I appreciate you saying that, because I have struggled with creating messaging that really is still my voice without feeling like I have to sacrifice who I am and like what I'm comfortable doing online. And that's the other thing. A lot of times women feel like I have to do this cookie cutter approach to my
Mm.
business. Well, I have to come online and I have to post 3 times a day and it has to be this, this, and this. And I'm like, that is not true. Right now, the world is so, I'm saying I'm going to use the word artificial just because of artificial intelligence. And trust me, ChatGPT is my bestie. Like we're like this, we're real tight. But I do try so hard to keep my voice as
Mm.
part of my messaging. Like I may use it to give me ideas. Hey, I'm struggling today with something to say, but these are the things I'm thinking about, and it will help me brainstorm. But for the most part, I keep everything really authentic to what I want to say. And that is starting to stand out more than the 3 posts a day that people are doing,
Oh.
because everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody looks the same. And so that's probably the biggest message I want to get across to a mom who's listening to this. It's like you can show up how often you want to, how authentically you want to, what version of you, the messy bun, the put together. Like Anissa would never show up ever without perfectly done hair and makeup. She wakes up like that even on a Saturday and Sunday when she has nowhere to go. Me to put hair and makeup, it's like, oh my God, like I'm a bun, t-shirt kind of mom. But I just think like the more we show up as ourselves, the more we allow ourselves the grace, the more we allow ourselves to let go of the guilt and be present with either when we're with our kids or with our kids, or when we're with our work or with our work. Like
Mhm.
that right there is going to be what changes the world. That's going to be what gets your message and your mission out.
I truly believe that, like, especially now that AI is becoming more and more the forefront of everything, people are still, like, or not still, people now are going more into that true human connection and feeling like the need for realness, even more so. Like, because when social media and the internet was coming into our lives, that was already like a sensation that some people would feel very strongly, like seeing, oh, even the coaching space, right? I don't know if you remember, but when everyone was doing their online group coaching, their the online thing, and then people came up during COVID. Obviously, that was
Yeah.
too. Now we want to have those in-person events again, and now that's the big
Yeah.
thing, right? But I truly, genuinely believe that not only because we experienced COVID, it's got to do with our being a human, like these true connections. That is the real deal. And you can get a brand so far with, faking the or polishing your pictures and really fine-tuning your message. But then when it comes to like really impacting other human beings on a soul level, on a true like frequency, then you have to be you. And then you are also yeah, then you're also operating in a more human way that will last. It's sustainable, right? So yeah, I love that you like we're talking the same language and and it's funny because I'm currently this week hosting a mini mind where I actually speak about that visibilities and speaking your truth, because in the beginning of this year I was coming to the online space with a lot of like my energy was driven by this new vision that I had, and Sovereign Mamas is a new brand, but I came to the table with like I have all these ideas, and these elements will be part of this ecosystem that I'm creating. And yet, even though I've been, doing all this work, and I'm a really like I would call myself a grounded and spiritual person, but still the manifesting generator in me, I have so much to give and so much power to actually holding these million balls in the air that sometimes it's hard for me to really stay
Yeah.
this lean back phase. And so I did something again this in the beginning of the year where I was like, whew, all in, moving forward. And then the universe and all the people I was in connection with, they made me see, okay, slow down. The podcast now. For now, it's the podcast only. And this was such a beautiful realization. And I'm currently sharing it with my audience and inside those spaces that I'm hosting, because it didn't make sense. It wasn't logical financially. Like everyone who I would have talked to, they would say, "Oh no, you need to like create your next offer that pays you this and that." And I was like, "No, no, I'm
Yeah.
getting this podcast." And when I then trusted and leaned in and said yes to the podcast first, I had the calendar was fully booked. Like I had like
Yeah.
all these interviews, all these people coming into my inbox saying, "Yeah, I want to be on your podcast." Yes, and then collaborations and clients and everything, that the ripple effect when you are really when you dare to trust and act upon that inner voice, then it's amazing.
Great. We started our podcast back in January, kind of with a similar vision where we wanted to do 3 episodes a week for like the first few months just to get to that 50 episodes. And now we'll hit our 100th episode here coming up soon. And
Nice.
we were like, one of our ideas or concepts was that podcast can be such a great place to get messages across. Obviously, but as a business owner, it is
Mhm.
a amazing way to make connections, an amazing way to find people to collaborate, an amazing way to find potential like leads or partners or however it is that you want to get. I mean, you're talking to the people who are in the trenches doing the things, right? Like these are your
Yeah.
people. So some people might look at a podcast and think, oh, this isn't making me any quote unquote money. But to me, that could be the most money you ever make is through your podcast if you place it right, if you play your cards right kind of thing and do everything strategically. But I think what you said, and hopefully your audience really heard this, is invaluable. And it is pick in the beginning or in the middle or 10 years ahead, pick one thing at a time and do it really, really well, and
Mhm.
then move to the next thing. Because I will tell you that Anissa and I, that's what we did in the beginning. We focused on our Facebook Accelerator program. That's where we were helping people grow Facebook groups. We did it really, really well for the first 9 months of our business. In the first 6 months, we got our business to six-figure business. And then we started pivoting. Then we were like, okay, we've done this well. Now what do we want to do? And now we're in, we have a TV show that's going to be airing on Amazon Prime. That's a docuseries that we're executive producers on. And we have a podcast in our magazine and we have books and all these different things. But each one kind of led to the next that led to the next. We didn't start 100 things at one time and then try to be good at all of them, because that's
Mm.
usually when people either burn out or almost inevitably fail because they just can't get any one thing to get traction. So I think, that's brilliant that you decided, like, because my Anissa's a manny gen too. So she has like all these ideas. I'm a projector, so I'm the person who's like, just give it to me and I'll implement it. But she has like 1,000 downloads a day. So if we really went with everything, we would just be all over the place. And we can actually feel our energy when we are doing too much stuff or we are pivoting too fast. And we have to like come back and, have somewhat of like a coming to Jesus talk with each other and be like, we got to let some stuff go, or we have to put things at least on pause, for right now, and then
Exactly.
really just focus on one or two things. Mhm.
Exactly. You don't have to like give up on your ideas or
Right.
your drive, but pausing and focusing. And yes, I love that you say that because this is how I felt like it was just like um a help, like it was from the outside, the feedback that I got then just made me look again, okay, what's the number one thing people say yes to? And you'll have that, like I'm speaking to the listeners now, you'll have that when you put something out and no one raises their hands, it's usually not because it's a bad thing, but it might not be the right timing. You might not be you in the right frequency of delivering it. And that was clearly also my thing. I was like preparing for that relocation. I was like having a gazillion things going on. And I was like with this whoa, in your face energy going to
Yeah.
also do that. And then I was like, okay, Julia, okay, you know better, right? Because
Hmm.
I've been in the online space since 2011. And it's not that I didn't know, but it's still after all these years, sometimes I catch myself and like, oh, you're doing your thing. And then, but now I'm really good at catching it and also being really, and I want you to hear this too. You have to be okay with it and don't feel like a failure, something didn't work or disappointed. I was actually quite happy then that it was so clear and so like obvious to me. And I said, okay, if that's it, uh, all right, I'll just now lean back and do just that, right? And
Anissa and I are in this kind of um, higher end mastermind, what the kind that like 7, 8 figure earners are in, that it's really more intimate, like 100 people. And what we always find so interesting is that the women in there that are doing multiple 7 figures, 8 figures, like big businesses, they come on and they're talking about the exact same things that we're talking about. You
mm,
think that you go to the next level and all of a sudden all of it dissipates. Like, oh, it's everything's wonderful up here. And no, they're worried about the same thing. Like, my sales have dipped. The marketing is this, this program that I just did flopped. Or, this event was like significantly less revenue than the last event. Like, these conversations are exactly the same. They're just at the
mm,
next level and the next level. So to your point of saying, like, even at this, even though you've been doing this forever, you still fell into that trap for just a second. You just were able to pivot a lot faster and like recognize it faster. That's really all that's happening throughout business. It's like learning from those, learning those lessons that you need to learn and then implementing them faster and faster and faster. It's never going to be to the point that it doesn't happen. It's
mm.
just you're going to recognize it and be able to say, it's okay. I know I've been here before. I know exactly what I need to do, and I'm going to be okay with whatever ends up happening.
Yeah, and to that point, that's why it's so important to be around the same people and that you put yourself into rooms where you say, all right, they're doing the same thing. And then it feels like it almost is like you need that permission slip. It's a normalization. And then suddenly it's not that weird or scary. And yeah, that's why also I feel women when we're co-creating, when we're like watching each other, it's uplifting. At least this is how I feel. When I see someone when I see women win, I'm
Mhm.
genuinely happy. And I think, yes, another one like is going moving.
Yeah.
Like this is beautiful. And this I feel that this also causes something in yourself then to be better and to just keep going and just like moving forward.
See what's possible. We,
Exactly.
Anissa and I talked about this so much when we jumped into this mastermind, and this was at the beginning of 2025. We definitely could not afford this kind of a mastermind at the time that we did, but because we had to both pay to be in it, it was like just because we were business partners, we couldn't just come in both of us.
Oh
It
no.
was way more money than we should have spent, but we looked at it like at that time we were making between $10,000 and $30,000 a month pretty consistently, right? But we were like, we want to be around people making at least 100,000 a month, not because the money was the thing, it was about the
Mm.
mindset. And we knew if we just went into a container where some people were just making 10 to 30,000 that we would stay there. We'd get way too comfortable. We would be like, oh, look at us. We're doing it. You know, it is what it is. But if we started getting ourselves around people that were consistently doing 100,000, $100,000 days, $1 million days, $1 million months, like
Hmm.
that we would see what was possible consistently. It was like reinforcing that belief, like this is possible, this is what's happening, this is how people are doing it just every single day, you know, seeing it put, but also seeing the struggles, like seeing the learning lessons and getting there faster because we can kind of see like, oh, this is where they kind of missed the mark and then they caught themselves and they corrected, right? So we were like, it's this will be the best money we ever spent. And it was like we just hit our first $100,000 month in
Oh,
June, which was
yay.
pretty incredible.
Okay.
So so
Congratulations.
proximity does matter. It really
Mm.
does. But like you said, we are so excited when we see other women doing it because it's not like it's never enough. I don't want people to take that message away. We're never looking at it like, oh, on to the next goal, on to the next goal. But what we're more seeing is like there are so many other women when good money, great money gets into the hands of women, that's when the world becomes a better place. So the
Mm.
more successes that we're seeing, the more reinforced belief that we're seeing, we're like, we're getting so strong as a community, as women. And it just makes it more exciting. It makes it more real. It makes it more possible. And I
Mm.
would highly, highly encourage people if they're listening, like one of the best, you are by far your best asset. You are by far your best investment and you're your highest appreciating asset. Like invest in yourself, invest in being in rooms of other women who are doing what you want to be doing at a bigger level so that you can see it happening all day, every day and realize like, okay, instead of it letting it defeat you and feeling like less than, let it inspire you, let it motivate you, let it push you forward and knowing like these women are right there behind or right above me and they're pulling me forward with them.
Yes, and I think there's actually also some science around here. It's not just woo-woo talk that we're doing here. So
Mhm.
the brain, the more you repeat that and the more it becomes normal, your brain makes sure that you take the actions to match up with what you see that is normal. So
Yep.
it's supporting your growth. So absolutely. Um, Talk a little bit about what happens inside the $1 million mom society. What do you do? What can people get when they join?
We have pivoted a lot, so we now, you know, are able to help more people with more things. So we started out, like I said, helping people grow Facebook groups. That's really how we got our start, was taking a group from 0 to 16,000 members and
Mm.
then creating automation inside of that group and monetization, where it led to, you know, our first 6 figures for our business. But then we pivoted a lot. Like we went and we were on a TV show called The Legacy Makers. We had an episode on Amazon Prime and they liked our episodes so much that they offered us our own docu-series. So we became executive producers. So we have that event in November, and we have opportunities for women to be speakers at that event and to attend the event. We also have our own podcast and our own magazine and our own anthology books. So from a visibility standpoint, we have really created the spaces for women to become visible,
Mhm.
giving them those platforms, giving them the stages, giving them the voices, like a place to, you know, put their voice. But we also do strategy. I mean, we help women create their offer suites, their low, mid, high ticket, their funnels, their tech. We help them do live launches, understanding like how to come online and sell to people and talk to people, because that's such a huge part of the business that women shy away from, is selling and
Mm.
actually getting their products, and making money. Most women are like, it's okay, I don't need to charge you for my services. And we're like, no, you need to charge for your time. Like, you're valuable, your knowledge, your expertise, the time and energy you put into something is valuable. So we have programs like that. We have our monthly society, or it's called the society. It's a monthly membership where people can come in as long as they want for $111 a month, and they're getting coaching every single week, both like people coming in and speaking and us doing hot seat coaching. So we really are building, and the visions that we have for the next 1 to 5 years is insane. Like, can't even get into it. But we are quantum leaping in our business, both financially, and just in the capacity and like the proximities and the visibility. And we are the type of women that want to bring as many people with us as possible. I am not the type of person that likes the spotlight. So the more people I can thrust in front of me into the spotlight, like, I am happy to do so. So I'm like, Julia, you want to come to our event? Come, I got you. Like, I want all women to feel like their voice is important, their message is important, their mission is important.
Mm.
And especially if you're a mom sitting there listening, wondering like,
How?
can I do this? Should I
Mm.
do this? The how. I
Mhm.
just posted something on my page that
Oh,
said
I
the how
saw.
is not, yeah,
Yes.
I said the
Love
how
it.
is none of my business. I
Love
never
it.
worry about the how, ever, ever, ever. Because it's going to, once you put it out into the universe, once you put it out into whatever you believe in, I sincerely have seen it happen so many times for myself and other people, that things will start to present
Hmm.
themselves to you in a way that you could have never imagined had you spent a year trying to figure out the how. You would have been disappointed every time in the best of ways, because you're like, oh my God, I could not have even thought that Amazon Prime would want to sign a, like, who thought that could happen. But I would say that that is my biggest takeaway for anyone listening to this, is like, stop getting in your head, stop wondering how, just take the first step, put it out there what your dreams are. There's nothing that's too big, and you will be amazed at the opportunities that start to present themselves to you.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, that's perfect. So, okay, so there is opportunities for people to come on. Obviously, we will have the links and ways to get in contact. And yeah, absolutely. I also want to add something, that when you are creating something like we do, like you and I, we do very similar work, right? And I feel sometimes we come, or some people, I don't know how I want to put that, but when our society and the upbringing of most of the generation we are in and before us, um, they were so trained to think you have to, you have to be better than your competition. You have to avoid being in the same room with someone. And so what I am intentionally doing and seeking is exactly what you just said, like uplifting others. And I have no, like, I feel so excited about what you just said. And I genuinely wished for you to, see you be successful. And I think that is also the key, that don't be afraid of um, other successes, and come to the table with your gifts, because you will attract your people. I am attracting my people, and there is so much out there. Like, there's an abundance of and the internet, thanks to the internet, we can really tap into a gazillion people out there, and everyone will find their tribe, or the tribe finds you. And so when you have a mission and you would like to be on either my podcast or both of our podcasts, and both in our words, just reach out. Like, don't be shy, or don't think, oh, and I think once you're at a level and have done the work and have been on that journey, nothing is too big. Like you said, no dream is too big, no room is too full, and there's always a
Yeah.
way. Like, this is really something so crucial also when you're.
But if I can throw in one last thing, you made
Yes.
me think of a funny analogy that I heard, but it sums it up so perfectly. But One of our mentors was saying the best place to put a gas station is next to another gas station
Yes.
because you already know people are looking for gas, right? And sometimes this gas station is a little too full, or sometimes this price might be a little bit better, or maybe this one has a bathroom and this one doesn't. Like the thing
Yes.
is that the best thing you can do is surround yourself. Like Julia, your people are my people are your people. Just because people are signed up with me doesn't mean they're not going to find value in something you're doing. As a matter of fact, they're highly more probable to want to buy from you because they're already seeking stuff like me.
Mm.
Like Anissa and I are always invested in multiple things at any given time because we're getting different, even if they do almost the exact same dang thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like we're going to this one because she's a little bit more on strategy and this one's a little bit more on mindset. So
Hmm.
they have the same outcome, ideal, like the ideal situation, but their focus is a little bit different. So I would always tell people like no one is ever going to do things the way you do it. You could have the exact same business model, but you're going to present it in a way that is complete because your life experiences are different, your approach is different, your personality is different. Like, unless you have somebody who is literally trying to copy your exact business, and even if that were the case, they're still going to deliver it so different than you ever would. Most people are buying into you as a human, you
Hmm.
as a brand versus the program itself. So I never worry. I'm like, anybody could come into any of our programs and literally copy and paste every single thing. Wouldn't even face me. I would never even care because I'm like, there's nothing we do that's that proprietary. Like nowadays, who has invented something that's just so unique that nobody else has ever thought of it before? But it's all in your delivery, it's all in your confidence, it's all in your intention, it's all in your messaging. And so yes, I totally agree with you. I'm like, that's any way that we are so sincere about this when we tell you any way we can collaborate. And I'm saying this more to you right now, but like any way we can collaborate and come together and join forces, like it only makes us more powerful. And
Mm.
that is what we're trying to accomplish.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And I truly believe that there is a shift happening. I see more and more women rise and succeed and be still in this spirit of sisterhood, even though the term
Mhm.
is, I don't know if I'm still liking the term, but it is like
Yeah.
this connection and yes, so there's a new era on the horizon and we're all part of it, right? We're all shaping it. And so,
We
yes, I
all
love
benefit from
it.
it.
Yes.
So great.
Amazing, amazing. Um, anything like you dropped a lot of wisdom
Yeah.
nuggets and great things to take away. Is there any last thing that you would like to maybe someone who's like still there sitting, self-doubt, I'm stuck in logistics, or they're waiting for permission. Is there anything you want her to hear?
I will circle back to something you said earlier, and you were kind of saying like the woman who's coming to you is like, I just need to replace my income, right?
Mm.
I started there, honestly. Like I always knew from a young age that I was going to do something big, but man, when I was in the thick of it, and I had two under two, like I had an 18-month-old and a newborn, and everything felt so heavy. And at the time, I was like, I just need to make enough money to replace my income so I don't have to go back to my job. Even for that person, you probably, if you're just even thinking like that, you're already the type of person that doesn't want to be an employee forever.
Hmm.
Already. And your mission may not be there yet. Your vision may not be there, but it will come. It took me almost 2 years of being in an online space to really all of a sudden feel into where I was headed and create Million Dollar Mom Society. And had I been somebody who just ignored all of that for the last 2 years and ignored that feeling and that calling and knowing I wanted to be home with my kids and knowing that there had to be something else out there for me, this would have never been created. But had I gone into it thinking the only way I can be successful is if I have this huge life-changing mission, I probably wouldn't have started because it would
Mm.
have felt just too, I would have been like, I don't have time for it to change the world. I'm just trying to change diapers and like get through the day, you know? And so even for that person who's listening right now, like start small, but just start. Like trust your instincts that you can make it work. And it's going to be a crazy, crazy roller coaster ride. It's never going to all of a sudden just be this smooth, beautiful thing that like everything is kisses and rainbows, but it's going to be so worth it.
Mm.
It'll be beautiful.
And yes, that's yeah, perfectly said. I think these are the perfect final words that you have to start somewhere, and everything in the long run. I'm sure everyone can also relate to something, it's to this, because something that they started in the past is now paying off. And so it's the same in the online space. You just have to really commit to something. That's why a podcast, that's it's an evergreen thing, right?
Mhm.
Someone might be listening to this episode in 3 years. And my previous podcast was called The Nomad Mompreneur. And before that, I had The Balanced Entrepreneur. I sometimes really have people message me, I heard you on this show, or I heard you on the show from someone else. And
Mhm.
you might not get like the dollar exchange in the minute that you're creating something, but that should never be your
Yeah.
motive anyways, right?
Plant those seeds. Plant the seeds. Like
And
the year is
yes,
gonna pass no matter what. So
exactly.
where you end that year is really what matters. But yeah, if you're like, I have to have that ROI right this second, it's gonna be
Mm-mm.
disappointing every time. Like I'm all about planting seeds and seeing
Yeah.
which ones sprout and which ones don't. Yeah.
Amazing. Natosha, thank you so much. This was amazing. I loved it. Thanks for the connection and the time that you're carving out. And thank you to all the listeners who also carved out their time. This is really important. And by listening to this podcast and really intentionally setting your time aside to dedicate a little bit of your me time to your growth and your personal expanding, you're doing great. Trust that you're enough, and you are now part of a village that you are deserving, because this is what we're here for. Sovereign Mamas is that place and that space. And I can't wait to talk to you in the next episode.